At this point, you will need that plain text editor, so make sure you've downloaded and installed it and open it up here. What we want to do is we want to open the file. So I'm going to do File, Open, and I'm going to find that Learning HTML file that I downloaded and put in begin_HTML folder. So there's that Learning HTML file, and I want to open it in here. Notice that this contains the content for the web page that we're going to build together. So open it up and you can use this for the content. Notice it has notes about the headings. It has the complete HTML, the complete URLs like we talked about, with a description about where you will go when you're linked to them. And it has images, a description about the images and the image files that are there. So this is the content that we're going to be using to make a web page. And this is what it looks like when it's open in the plain text editor. Now, we also want to open it up in a browser. So we want to be able to look at it side by side. What it looks like in the editor, that's where we can make changes. What it looks like in the browser, that's where we can see what's happening. One way to open a local file in a browser is do Control-O or Command-O if you're using a Mac, and double-click on it. And that will open it in there. Okay. Notice how this does not look like a web page. We have not added any HTML code and everything is bunched up together. This demonstrates how HTML, a browser will interpret it, get rid of all the white space. So anything that is, so notice here I've got a carriage return, I've got a blank line. All of that is replaced with a single space. So right here, that carriage return is replaced with a single space. And that's what a browser does with white space. So that's good to know. And we're going to see how things change as we build it. Let's go ahead and start with paragraphs. So right away here we see that this is a paragraph. And we visually can just look at it and say this looks like a paragraph. And the way we're going to do this is now add an HTML tag, both an opening and closing, that says this is the beginning of the paragraph and this is the end of the paragraph. So here at the beginning, put an opening paragraph tag. And the HTML tag for paragraph is a P tag. And the opening tag looks like that. All the tags start with a less than sign, end with a greater than sign. And then whatever tag it is put in the middle. So that's the opening paragraph tag. Then at the end I want to put a closing paragraph tag. I start with the less than sign and then I put a /. Notice that my editor automatically completes it. If yours doesn't, then just enter the P and the closing bracket. So notice how that the closing tag looks just like the opening tag, except it begins with a /. And that's how we do paragraphs. Now save your file on the editor and then go to the browser and refresh. And notice what we got. It marked it up and the browser said, oh, they want to show this as a paragraph. What I do with the paragraph is I put a blank line before and a blank line after and keep everything inside the paragraph together. And we can do this over and over again. So we can do this with all the paragraphs. So I'm going to capture that opening P tag and paste it at the beginning of each of the paragraphs. And not in front of the headings, but in front of the individual paragraphs. And I'm going to gather the closing paragraph and add it at the end of each paragraph. So you do this too, and go ahead and pause the video to get it on the front and the end of all the paragraphs. Be careful not to go down into the table. So down in the table you have some sections. Don't go inside the table, but go ahead and get all the paragraphs in the document. Now let's go refresh and see how it looks with all those paragraphs. So what you see here is we've got it divided. Each paragraph stands out by itself. So that's what we get with HTML P tags. The next thing we want to work with are these headings. And for headings, we have a variety of headings. They're different sizes. So notice how I want this to be a main heading, and I've used that number 1. That's a note that helps me understand. Heading tags, again, like all tags, begin with a less than sign, and then it's an H tag, but it has a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 are the size of them. Now, the end of the heading goes right here. So if I begin with a heading 1 and end a heading 1 there, I'm going to get rid of this note because that just helped me to know that I wanted this to be a heading. And I'm going to save it, and I'm going to go over here and refresh. And notice what I get for heading 1. This is the main heading, so it makes it larger and it makes it bold. And that's what we get with headings. And each heading is a different size. So here I've suggested that this is a subheading, in fact subheading 2, so I'm going to use the H2 tag. And there's that heading 2 tag, and I want to be sure and close it with exactly a matching tag. And if I look at this, then I refresh, and I get another, it's bolded, but the size is smaller, so we can see that this one is less significant than that one. And here comes our very first concept of semantic HTML and using it in meaningful ways. What we want to do, we can change the size and the color and the font of all these headings using CSS. In the HTML, what we want to use them for is to let the user know how important this heading is. And you use a hierarchical concept of that, and you say this is our most important heading, and most often on a web page you'll have a single heading 1. That will be your most important heading for that page. And then you'll have heading 2s, which are the next level of importance, and then heading 3s that are the next level after that. Here we see another heading 2. And so that means this is the same importance as the one that we just did. Notice how I'm getting rid of those notes, right? And here we have a heading 3. So I'm going to add the HTML tag for heading 3, and you do the same thing on yours. Go ahead and code these headings so you can see the difference. And let's go ahead and refresh over here. And we see that these two headings have the same level of importance, and then this next heading is a lesser important heading. And so we identify the structure of the web page by using these variety of headings. Okay, go ahead and pause the video and add all the text for all the tags for headings. Okay, once you've added all the headings, go ahead and refresh. And you can see that those headings pop up. Also notice headings are also block elements like paragraphs, and you get a blank line before and a blank line after each heading. If there's two block elements together, they share that blank line. So this paragraph has a blank line before, which is the same blank line that goes with that heading. And that's what we have so far.